I am joined by Josh Phillip, good friend of ours, Epoch Times. And it's American what? What's the name of the show?
So you're thinking of American thought leaders.
That's it.
Mine's Crossroads.
Crossroads.
Yeah, close enough though.
Yeah.
Actually, the original name was American Crossroads.
Yeah.
But we decided Crossroads is good enough.
Crossroads is great, brother. Great to see you. You just did a documentary on Charlie Kirk. I knew Charlie going all the way back to 2019. He was a co-founder of the Freedom Center and a really good friend. I was with him in Korea 5 days before he was assassinated.
I was supposed to speak there.
Yes.
But I had to cancel. Some other stuff came up.
Build up Korea.
Yeah, Mina Kim. She's awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about this documentary.
So, shortly after Charlie was killed, it was kind of a mess, right? People are saying, well, who did it? What was the motive? What was the narrative? And then Trump actually did something else where he came out with an executive order like around that time. And he detailed what he said was kind of a machine of hit pieces, doxing people, revealing their identities, organizing attacks on people, which leads to violence, of course. And I mean, going around Turning Point, and I know a lot of people here, as do you, a lot of people are under similar situations. They've had hit pieces written against them, which are fake. They have organizations that frame them. Some of them have been debanked. Their information gets published online. Their families get threatened. They get threatened. I know guys like us who have to have bodyguards, who have to have security, wear bulletproof vests.
That is not acknowledged enough. I think a lot of people are like blissfully ignorant of, if I go out with an opinion about you, and then all of a sudden, let's say I have a platform with millions of people, all of a sudden I could put your life in danger. And if it's not even true.
Well, and it works as a type of narrative suppression. Because it's only on one side of the aisle. I mean, a little bit. It's changing a little bit, but for the most part, the violence is on one side of the aisle when it comes to this political stuff. You have some, but the majority is like that. And so I wanted to figure out, like, what is that machine? Like, what is that system? Is it organized? Is it not? Like, how does that work? So I started researching it, and I found, okay, I wanted to find, whenever I research anything, the way I do it is I trace it to the origin, and then I work my way forward. So when were the first hit pieces on Charlie Kirk? When did that all start? The answer, Charlottesville, the Charlottesville riots. And again, that was the whole narrative that they had with Trump, where they said it was the Very Fine People hoax, right? The Very Fine People hoax. And here's what happened. You had the whole Unite the Right rally. The real narrative was there were groups that are going to tear down a Confederate statue. Normal protesters wanted to stop it. The far right showed up and the far left showed up. The guys with the tiki torches, and that was kind of the last time we saw that for a long time, I think. They fought each other. It was brutal. One guy ran over a woman with a car, went to jail for a very long time. And then Trump was put on the hot seat. He was saying, will you denounce, the extremists, the neo-Nazis and stuff? He says, yes, I totally denounced them. Trump totally denounced them. But Trump also said that it wasn't everybody. Right? He said it wasn't everybody. You had very fine people on both sides, but you also had these very bad people, and I condemn them. And the media took that out of context. They framed it where Trump was defending the alt-right and refused to condemn the neo-Nazis. And that's where Charlie Kirk came in. Because what the media did is they framed all conservatives. If you were pro-Trump, then if Trump said that he did not denounce the neo-Nazis, then you were a neo-Nazi. And they labeled the entire MAGA movement like that. Then they went around to all the MAGA influencers or any MAGA organization and said, will you also denounce MAGA? Will you also denounce the Trump supporters? And they went to Charlie Kirk and said, well, you have Trump supporters. Trump said this, therefore they're all Nazis. Will you denounce them? And Charlie said, no. And what they did after that is they labeled Charlie Kirk, saying that he will not denounce the alt-right either. And they framed him as a Nazi.
Yeah.
They framed him as a white supremacist. They framed him like that. And it continued. Then the media, what you have then is you have these NGOs, non-governmental organizations like Southern Poverty, or, legal organizations, Southern Poverty Law Center, ACLU, that then do framing. And they do very, reports that just highlight all the bad things. They make these narratives. He's an anti-Semite. He's a racist. He's this, which Charlie was none of that. Charlie was none of that.
Right.
They take stuff out of context. They frame the narratives, and then they spread it. The media picks it up. Social media picks it up. And when you get these kids who've been growing up with that for the past 10 years, you have to understand, like, for you and I, we were probably old enough where, the Trump phenomena was, just, we've seen the whole thing. We weren't in college. Maybe you
Right.
were,
Right.
but we've seen it. For some kids, this has been their entire life.
Yep.
It's been since they were 10 years old, and now they're 20. And that's 10 years, and they've been seeing nonstop on the media, Trump's a Nazi, Republicans are Nazis, they're anti-Semites, they're bigots, and they're racist and everything else, and they're the enemy. That the people who are trans or BIPOC or whatever are your allies, and everybody else is your enemy.
Right.
And they're brainwashed with that. And then when the media goes out and tells you, okay, there are allies and there are enemies, right? Well, what do you do to your enemies? Some people are just going to fight them. Some people are going to argue with them. Some people are going to take it a little further.
Right.
And that's what happened to Charlie Kirk.
Yes. So it's amazing how long, you're exactly right. For a guy like me, 10 years is like a quarter of my life.
Yeah, I'm the same.
You know, right? For a kid who was born in 2004, that's half their life. And if they grow up under the shadows of that, they're thinking like, this is insane, right? And then, by the way, if I'm going to be called this, that, or the other, I might as well do things that warrant that label. And so some people embrace that identity.
They do.
And that's the scary thing.
I was actually going to say that, which is it's the concerning. Okay, so people talk about Nick Fuentes,
Yeah,
and that side of the conservative movement. I think that's kind of the other extreme of that kind of narrative and what it's done to kids, right? What it's done, not even kids, I guess, teenagers and now like early 20s, right? You have some kids who are brainwashed with this stuff and said, okay, you're calling me a racist if I'm white, unless I agree to your narratives, and then I can become an ally. And they agree to the narratives. They go with it. Some of them become radicalized on that front. There are others who say, you see, I'm evil for being white. You see, I'm evil for being a man. You say I'm evil for liking Trump. Okay, fine. Maybe I am a racist. Maybe I am a bigot. Maybe I am an anti-Semite. You want to call me these things? You know what? You're right. And that's what's happened. And what's scary is those narratives are no longer, because it's been so overused, it's no longer a stigma. And now you have people who identify with that. And not only do they identify with it, they believe that since the other side is so crazy,
yes,
that they are actually righteous for embracing those things.
Yes. Okay. Final question. What's a way to, in terms of this documentary, its reception, what are maybe some of the lasting impacts that Charlie has had, especially in this generation when it comes to the media?
Oh, incredible. So the documentary started off where I just want to talk about the media. I ended up including a whole section on there about the American Great Awakening. I think if Charlie Kirk were Catholic, they'd probably make him a saint. They probably would. They'd probably give him sainthood because of the impact he had. You have the Charlie Kirk effect where kids are showing up for church and going back. You have a literal religious awakening taking place from a guy who was more like a political commentator. Like the Charlie I knew was more of a podcaster. It's incredible to see this. It's unbelievable to see this. And I can tell you, I went to one of the events with Lucas Miles and Steve Deese, because they were doing the Ask Me Anything events.
Yeah.
And I was talking to some of the kids afterwards. Some of these kids, they made me hopeful. Because what I saw was this, right? Guys like you and I, were kind of like, we grew up as millennial. I assume we were both same. And we have that background, and we didn't deal with people trying to, make us trans growing up.
Right.
We never had to deal with it.
Right.
We never had to deal with it. And so this is the other side of it, right? You have the kids who went with it. You had the kids who went to the other extreme and turned against it, but you also have some kids in the middle. And what those kids in the middle have done is they say, these people are my friends. I don't want to lose my friends, but I want to help them. And you have kids like that who have a type of tolerant compassion that I've not really seen in adults. They have such a deep rationality where they can have their convictions, they can have their standards, but they say, I have my standards and I want to know how to talk to my friends because I don't hate them, I love them,
Yeah.
and I want to help them. And I ran into so many of those kids. They're incredibly intelligent, they're super sharp, they know the values, but they don't hate people who disagree with them.
Yes.
And I was that for me was when I saw the Charlie Kirk effect, that's what Charlie did.
I loved how he worked with compassion. You know, he certainly, especially in these last few years, he would go to college campuses and people would have disagreement. He said, get to the front of the line first. And then rather than hammering them, like he would listen, and then he would just sort of like, almost like a surgeon with a scalpel, he would with precision go after those arguments because he wanted to save the person. I think that's the thing that you saw modeled in Charlie. He really did care about the people he was trying to reach.
He did.
He wasn't trying to divide. He was actually trying to unite around truth and freedom. So, brother, thank you so much, Josh, for all you're doing. Epic times. You guys are awesome.
Pleasure, and always a pleasure, man.
Thanks, brother.
Good seeing you. Yeah, sorry, made you reach the other way. Yeah.